You okay?
Yeah, it hit me in the head, but I'm okay.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. All right, let's go. We'll start.
Because I am afraid of failure and I will not let myself fail at this.
I'm trying to use fear to become a successful author. I'm trying to be my own harshest critic and let myself be afraid that this part isn't good enough. I need to rewrite it, I need to make it better. And I think that's a positive way of looking at fear and a positive way to have a relationship with fear. Actions are courageous when fear is present. To act with courage means that you did something that was scary to you. You didn't let fear drive you away from it. You let fear make you brave because you went towards the danger.
I hope that you can compare the main antagonist and the main protagonist in a human way and see that they are not bad guys and good guys, but that they had decisions in front of them, and based on how they chose, their lives ended up completely different from each other. If you try to do something alone, if you try to live alone and only do things for yourself, you are going to end up being a sad story. And that's what, at least for me, I take away from Patrick's character. And what I celebrate through Hank's character is that he's not perfect, but he's someone who has people in his corner. He cares so deeply about people who aren't himself.
Fear presents two paths. There's a path towards being weak and cowardly, and I think there's a path towards being brave and courageous. If you let fear overcome you, and if you let fear control your decisions, wipe away your strategy and tactical ability, it erases courage. But if you go down the path towards, okay, I acknowledge that this is something that's going to be scary, going into combat, bullets flying at you, explosions happening around you. If you go down the right path towards bravery and you don't let fear control you, you put it out of your mind, that's where fear is present, but you're choosing the path towards courage.
The sad thing about Patrick, the main antagonist, is that he could have been, he's really talented, he's very smart, he could have been great, he could have had a really successful, nice life with, surrounding himself with people who have similar interests and people who love him, because Hank actually gave him the opportunity. He welcomed him into his circle. And rather than accepting that and trying to learn how to be a friend, Patrick rejected that altogether because he was looking out for his goals, and he only cared about the process and getting the next step further rather than who's actually helping him get through it.
Fear constantly affects me as a writer, whether it's I just finished a chapter or I just finished a whole part of the book that I'm writing, and now I'm afraid to go back to the beginning and read what I just wrote because a first draft is always it's rough draft. I'm afraid to find whatever it is I wrote.
For When to Run's main protagonist, Hank, he's afraid that if he doesn't act heroically, that he's gonna let down a bunch of people who he cares about. That's his main drive. Love and being sympathetic towards other people is what drives his fear.
My career is important to me. My career was important to me. Working and contributing financially to our family was something that I wanted to continue to do. It kind of took a back seat because I also wanted to raise our kids. The biggest fear I had back then was that I might not stay true to my word and I might not find my way back. I'm all over the place, honestly.
Oh, Madison! Oh! You okay?
Yeah, it hit me in the head, but I'm okay.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
I try not to talk about being afraid because I don't like the idea of being afraid, but Everyone has fears, and it doesn't matter how tough you are. You know, it makes me think of you when you were a Navy SEAL and you talked about how when you were in combat, you pushed your fear aside. You kind of suppressed expression of fear, how someone else would feel it differently, that you just didn't let yourself feel it, even though it was there. That's really important for someone who is in a combat situation. You shouldn't focus on fear, because that's something that will probably hurt you and will be detrimental to your team and to you as an individual. Everyone feels fear, and it's how you use fear for your future actions, your future goals. You can use fear for good, and I know you did.
He is afraid of letting himself down by failing to achieve his own goals. Patrick had to put himself before his feelings for others because of how he grew up. He had to look out for himself because no one else looked out for him. In an adult form, and in that child becoming a man, the man who he becomes doesn't get over that. He doesn't rely on anyone because he felt like he couldn't rely on anyone when he was a child. He closed himself off so much that he wasn't open enough to let anyone in to influence him differently. The people who influence him the most are not good. They care about the wrong things, and none of what they care about is him.
I actually didn't have the same type of fear when I first started writing When to Run, because when I first started writing it, I didn't actually know that it was going to become When to Run. I didn't actually believe in myself that much until I think it wasn't until I finished part 2 of When to Run, maybe just the beginning of part 2. I do remember I wrote a certain chapter in part 2 of When to Run, and it kind of clicked that, oh, I am writing a book and I think it's actually pretty good. But at that point, I was happy, but I also felt so afraid that I was wrong and that maybe I was just in my head about my writing being good and about the book becoming a book. So, but that kind of evolved towards, I've written a lot of my second book on the way towards finishing it. And now my fear is this going to be as good as When to Run? Is this idea, because I have this idea for a trilogy, is this idea going to carry? Or is this going to drop?
I want you to feel a connection with at least one of the supporting characters, whether it's an antagonist or a protagonist. All of the characters are flawed, and all of the characters present lessons that you can learn from. I want you to, if you're reading the book, trying to be fast about getting through, turning the pages too fast, not really paying attention to the periphery, you can miss the importance of Hank's dad. His name's Eric. Eric is a theme in himself.
Becoming an author, becoming a writer was something that I was so grateful to grab onto, but it's also something that I am afraid of failing at, and I don't want to fail at anything, but I'm determined to succeed.
One other fear that I have professionally is that I'm good at writing a book, but I'm not good at the business side of things. I'm not good at advertising and selling it. I don't like salesy things. That's just not how I am. But I am trying, and I'm afraid that my attempt to do that and to fill that role is going to fail miserably.
Stuff that I don't talk about.
You can be a good speaker and a crap writer. Or you can be a great writer and not that great of a speaker, like me. I am working on it, and that is one of my fears, is overcoming something that I'm not very good at.
The fear of not knowing what I'm doing as a writer, because there's no manual that says this is how So I'm just figuring it out as I go. I'm still afraid of doing things wrong or just not being good enough.
I will not give up.
What would it take for you to give up?
I'm not going to give up.
What would it take for you to give up?
Stop asking that question.
What would it take for you to give up?
I'm telling you, I'm not going to.
Last time.
Don't do it.
What would it take for you to give up?
This interview's over.